The movie happens in an advanced near future where we see a cyborg named Catherine Mills who is working for a company named Harbinger Corporation. While she was working at the factory, she gets a message directly delivered to her mind, and the feed shows her that a robot named SAR is having an anomaly at the Harbinger training facility. Later she informs this to her superior about it and tells that there been a reprogrammed count of 1.5 million within just one day. Her superior congratulates her before leaving. While the military base, Drifter reports Captain Bucks about the orders they get to join a training exercise and tells the others are waiting at the strip. Bucks goes to the soldier in charge and says that they have been on the training the last 4 times. The soldier tells him that it is just only for 2 days and tells they are looking for Marines with combat time since there are not many. Bucks and his team are assigned, and he also tells that they have been assigned a tech by showing Mills. Mills goes out following Bucks and she introduces herself and says that she is from Harbinger and explains about the hardware they are going to test on the field and says she will be observing them in the hardware. Bucks cuts her off and tells her to keep up or she will be left behind, and also asks her to turn off her eye scanner, to which Mills says she can't. After getting into the plane, Mills scans everyone and then introduces herself, and they are annoyed with her cause she's a tech. The plane takes off, and on the way Mills learns about them by scanning the crew. Contains Drifter, Rory Robinson, Sam Loftus Martin, Good Robert KBI and Danielle Hackett. She learns that Buck's kill count is 18 and Rory has implants in his eyes. Rory points his gun towards Mills and says, "I see you." Mills leans a bit and deactivates the rifle just by looking at it, and she also says that she can even fire at him while he is checking the chamber. After getting near the location, Bucks gives the team basic instructions and tells they will be using live ammunition and they will be monitored. Mills can't access the global network anymore and she changes to that local one. Rory tells Bucks that she has tech implants in her eyes just like himself. The plane lands at a research facility and Bucks scans his face with a computer and the doors opens up. Bucks gets in and he notices no one is around. The soldiers also notice this, but Bucks returns and tells they will be moving on. Mills says to Bucks that they got off the wrong foot, but he doesn't listen to her. The teams makes their way through the facility and eventually make it to a forest. Bucks reminds them not to let their guards down just cause it is draining, and KBI sends up a drone to scan the area while walking through. Mills scans a drone which is unidentified. They all get to the location and split into teams to take positions. Drifter follows Mills after Bucks orders him. While they are talking, they were interrupted by 3 drones arrive to them. Drifter tries to pull out his gun, but Mills stops him and tries to gain access to them. Drifter informs his teammates about this encounter and Hackett also reports the same, and Bucks also encounters these. Mills tells that they are made by Harbinger and they don't need any operators cause of quantum robotics. Bucks tells them to keep moving. After a while their practice targets showed up at the location. Drifter notices that the robots are very basic in technology. Then Bucks formulates a plan of attack and everyone moves to locations they are assigned to. After Drifter do the countdown, they attack the robots while the drones are watching and recording their tactics. Mills take a look at a special drone and follows one of them deep into the woods. There she finds a more advanced unit, the SAR, but she is shocked to blood dripping over its head. She tries to access it but she couldn't, but she manages to download some data from it which contains a footage of it shooting people. She closes her eyes while thinking. When she opens her eyes, the R is nowhere to be found. Then Buke sends a message saying they have all done well and says they have to set up a camp since the day is over. Later that night they all set up a camp. While they are all talking, Mills sits alone. They also tease his Drifter for watching Mills and reminds him that she is not even a human. Meanwhile Mills is going through the footage she acquired from the SA earlier. Drifter then comes to her and asks where she has gone earlier, to which Mills replies that she was just looking around. When he asks her about the transmissions, she tells that only local network is working here and something is blocking her, and she also doesn't know what it is yet and asks him why. Bucks doesn't ask himself, to which Drifter says that he is shy around cute girls or he doesn't like her. Mills feels unfortunate for her considering his kill record. Then asks her about how she got chipped, to which she tells that she's got chipped when she was 11 and without that her body will get paralyzed, and says Harbinger sponsored all and cured her later. He gets back to Bucks, who is staring at Mills. He asks Drifter if she has told him anything, and Drifter says that she said she is not getting through anything and doesn't know why, but Bucks doesn't believe her and says there is something wrong with the training in Mills. Then Mills detects the drones in the forest near them after getting to sleep. A strange footage from the sap in her eyes. Meanwhile, a drone approaches Loftus, who is awake to keep watch. He tells it to get out, and it does. Then he hears a noise and turns around and sees the AR and shoots it. Everyone wakes up and wondering about the shooting noises. Goodman tells he saw Loftus up there in the next second. He is gone and also asks if this is a part of training. But Bucks ignores the questions and the team searches to find Loftus all night. Next morning they found blood trail on the grass while walking, and soon they finds out Loftus' body cut. Bill is dead, devastated on seeing his friend's death. They all get into defensive position for a possible attack. Then Mills tells them that this is the target area from yesterday. A drone comes near them, and while looking at it, the drone shoots Hackett, and soon the robots starts a shootout at the soldier, and they take cover to hide from them. And Bucks notices that the robots are in the places where they took positions the day before. They take out some smoke grenades and throws them to cover out the area to hide. They start to shoot back at the robots, and the team moves out to avoid being shot. When Bucks manages to get near them, the robots notices him. They back off to disappear in the smoke. Meanwhile, Bill has got separated from the team. He shoots some drones that came near him. Then the SAR comes and grabs Bill when he begs it to let him go. The SAR lets a smaller unit shoots him. Meanwhile, Bucks tells the team the robots he saw are more advanced than the ones they have encountered yesterday. Bucks gets angry on losing his men, and he asks Mills to turn the robots off. Mills says that she can't turn them off but see them, and say that there is an error in the programming. Drifter defends her when Bucks gets angry on her and says that this is a mistake of someone else, to which Bucks says mistakes are inefficient comparing to the soldiers. He has lost Rory, then returns to there with the helmet of Cube, and the team moves on to find him. While walking, Drifter says to Bucks that Mills is useful to them since she can see them. Bucks tells that if she can see them, they can see her in his too, and he points out why they let the team walk out but only killed Bill, and says maybe it is because of Mills, and they see a lot of animals lying dead around, and finds out that the robots are using them as target practices. Then Mills informs that the robots are tracking them through the ridge, and then the robots show up and starts a shootout on them in the attempt of trying to escape. The team splits up after being saved by Bucks. Mills hits a tree and passes out later. Bucks carries out Mills and makes it to the facility entrance and manages to get contact with Drifter. Drifter says that they are close to the camp. Bucks informs that they have managed to get to a safe place to stay for that night. Drifter says they will come to him, to which Bucks says they shouldn't move on as it is too dark, and says they will regroup in the morning. A few hours later, a drone comes to Bucks and leaves after scanning. They hides behind the wall. When the R approaches them, the robot leans and scans Mills' eyes before leaving the place. Next morning, when Mills wakes up, Bucks tells her that she has been out for 9 hours. He also tells her what happened last night. She tells him that they have to find out the robot as soon as possible. When Bucks asks why, she tells him that she cannot explain it. He tells her to find a way, and they move on to meet the team later. They regroup with the team, and Drifter tells that the robots didn't try for them last night, even though they could have, since they are all over there. Mills tells them the road to the facility is clear and all signals are behind them, and they all decided to go to the drop location and wait for transport. Bucks gets to the door with Mills since he is the only one that can open the door while the others are taking cover for them. Bucks gets to the computer, but it didn't recognize him. Then Mills sees the surveillance drones, and Bucks tells her to get the door. Then the robots throw smoke grenades like how the men did earlier, and they start a shootout on the soldiers who are moving towards the door. Mills opens the door, but Drifter gets shot in the leg. The soldiers gets into a ditch to hide from the shootout, and Bucks goes to help them, and Drifter stays behind to give Rory and Goodwin time to escape out of there. The AR gets to Drifter and pins him down. Mills notices this, and she goes back to help them. The robot sees her and stops shooting. She tries to deactivate the robots, but she gets countered. The R prepares to cut Drifter, and he asks them not to let it cut him. Mills tells Bucks not to shoot him and let her deactivate the robots since it is not working. Bucks shoots him up, and Mills cries on losing her friend. Bucks drags her back to the facility with him. After getting to the facility, Mills yells at Bucks for killing Drifter since she could have saved him, and tells that she is the one who built them. When they demand answers, she tells them that she is the one who writes the codes and build the prototypes, and she tell the codes have advanced more than they imagined. But Bucks say it is too late when Mills says that she can control them. Mills says that they are to replace the human soldiers in the military, so no lives will be lost anymore. When they ask about their purpose, Bucks accuses her that his men are dead because of her. They see the main door as slowly being cut open by the robots. They finds a door that says authorized personnel and asks Mills to open since they got no other choice. Even though Goodwin is reluctant, they goes into the room and they finds a bunch of SARS there. They tells Mills to not turn them on and tells her to open the other door. They goes in and finds the dead bodies of all of the facility employees. Mills tries to connect to the local network to see if she can contact the outside world, but it is no use. Bucks thinks they can use the place to slow down the robots and start setting up charges. Mills leaves the room closing the door and she turns on as A to know about the other SARS. Through it, the robot starts to answer her and Mills tries to cancel the human combat program but can't do it. It explains the human training subjects' performance is not expected and says they need new training subjects. The robot identifies her and denies her access. Mills realizes that the Guardian R is the one sent the orders to bring Marines there. Mills tries to gain access to them again but she fails and the Guardian R activates the other units and the robots from the outside breaks in. She got cornered by the SARS but Roy manages to force the door open and drags her inside. The team returns to Bucks who is setting up charges after the robots get in there too. The team barely manages to escape from there just before the bomb goes off. Then Mills notices the robots are carrying grenades with them. After being hit by electromagnetic pulse they all make it out and finds abandoned buildings and more training equipments. Mills enters a tunnel and takes a MP grenade from a fallen robot. Later they divide the ammunition they got and are preparing for siege. Bucks to check on Mills who is watching the footage of her teammate Steph, which makes her cry. Bucks see the grenade and Mills says that she can stop the R leader with the grenade, but its range is short so they need a detonator and explains that the robots haven't killed them yet because they need more practice. Bucks tells that the explosion will kill her too, to which she says they got no other option. They wait all night. They're waiting. When morning comes the robots finally arrives. Mills tells Rory there are multiple signals coming from south. Rory and Buke start a shootout on the robots while Goodwin is holding the detonators. Meanwhile Mills is scanning the area to guide Rory and Bucks and also to tell Goodwin when to trigger the bombs.